Good afternoon. All right, so I want to say thank you very much for attending our PD session today. I am Shuhao. You can call me Jeremy if you like.
Hi, I'm Liu.
Yeah, today we will be looking at the topic gamification, and 5 topics will be covered in our PD session. First, we are going to clarify the term gamification, and after that, we will move on to review relevant literature to show some possible benefits of gamification. Then, a 5-step gamification model will be briefly introduced to explain what steps we need to take in order to gamify our language classroom. Next, actually, this is the most important part of our today's session. We will demonstrate several cases using PPT to gamify different parts of our language teaching. Finally, we'd like to finish up with some feedback on gamification given by our students. All right, so let's get started. First, let's talk about what gamification is. Actually, gamification can be defined as a series of activities and a process which can help our students to tackle different problems. Or we can say gamification is a kind of experiential learning technique which can boost the students' engagement and arouse their interest in our learning activities. Or we can say gamification is using different game elements like some points, like levels, like conflict, or give students some time. We need to use different game elements in non-gaming situations. So I guess from these 3 definitions, we can probably say gamification is not only a single activity, but more importantly, it can be defined as a set of relevant activities which can have a purpose to arouse students in our class, arouse their interests, and help them be more interested. And more importantly, we can use gamification to help them solve some specific problems and complete different tasks in order to help them make a lot of progress. And also we need to know that gamification should be based on different game elements. Just like what I have mentioned before, we need to consider how we're going to use something like points, levels, time, something like that in our classroom in order to engage our students. All right, so right now we have already got a very clear understanding of the definition of gamification. Let's have a really quick discussion. 2 questions for you guys to discuss. First, have you guys used any good language learning games in your own class? All right, if the answer is yes, please share. Second, in your opinion, what are some possible benefits of gamification in the language classroom? All right, I will put you guys into 2 groups. Please work together and try to type down your answer in the chat box, and we will join you guys, and please share your opinions with us. All right, so let's do this. Oops. Okay, give me a second. Yeah, okay, so. Okay, seems that I cannot put you guys. Sorry, give us a second. All right, it seems that we cannot put you guys into several groups. So please type down your answer in the chat box. Yeah, we can have a quick chat about these 2 questions. Any ideas? Do you want to share some positive experience of using games in your language classroom? Any ideas? Any ideas? some possible Kahoot. Yeah, it's very important. It's actually very classic example of classroom game, especially when we'd like to help students to review the vocab parts. Yeah, Kahoot again.
Yeah, board game.
Yeah, board game, definitely. It's also very, yeah, just like Rick has said, it's really motivating, fun, and yeah, definitely it can help our students be really active and excited. Definitely. Turnable game, yeah, also very good one, very good example. They learn, but they don't feel like they are working. All right.
Exactly. Actually, we cannot guarantee that games are always positive.
Yeah, yeah. Sometimes we just cannot say for sure games can always work for everyone in our classroom. Definitely. I try use some fun activities rather than games. Yeah, definitely you can try that. When games have a winner and thus a loser. Yeah, sometimes if we can use game elements or something like game to engage our students, we can actually challenge our students and give them a purpose to let them know what they should do. So it can actually motivate them quite a lot.
To get higher MQ
Yeah, to get a high
scores.
MQ scores. Yeah, definitely. If you can use a lot of if you use a lot of games in your class, your students will definitely love your teaching. So they will give you a relatively high score in MQ.
Especially in the afternoon session when some students get sleepy, drowsy, probably it's a good way to cheer them up.
Yep. Yeah, and also running dictation, also very good example of gamification benefits make the learning experience more fun. Yep.
Many poster presentations did exactly.
Yeah. And after students post their presentation, we can ask them to take a gallery work sometimes. So they can take a look at each other's work and then they can do some peer review if they like. And
yeah, we would like to say we try to add some gamification elements rather than really playing games in class.
Yeah, we're just trying to introduce this concept. Scatter categories is great for the whole class. Okay. And voting for the best poster, yeah, especially when students after finish doing their poster, we can ask them to vote for the best one and they can learn something positive from the best poster. For example, we can ask students to find something really colorful or positive about their poster, and if they like, they can also use something like that in their own work. So we can use this poster to help students make progress. And snake and a ladder, Jeopardy, also very famous one. Famous. We actually will cover these parts in a minute. And the snake and a ladder. Okay, it sounds very cool, but I haven't tried that before. So can you say something more about that? What is a snake and a ladder? We actually very interested in that game. Can you have a
hi?
say?
Can you hear me?
Snakes and ladders has questions box. So you design question, the student take one for each question box. Okay, so all right, so this is actually very good activity, especially when we are trying to help students to get ready for their speaking test. We can use these kind of games, in my opinion, to ask them to answer a lot of questions so they can find it really interesting to do that. Each group design their board and then switch. Yeah, we can invite students to first work on their board to write down something important, and after that we can switch and ask some students to join different groups and ask them to share their opinions. So again, I want to say they can benefit from this because they can learn something from their students' work. All right, so thank you very much for your answers. I really like that. Actually, you have already mentioned a lot of benefits and very classic examples of gamification in our classroom. Now, I'd like to show you some relevant literature to show some possible benefits of gamification. Because I guess some of you are wondering if gamification really works in our language classroom. Actually, the answer is yes, because we can find tons of research proving gamification does benefit students in a variety of ways. So let's take a look at some recent research. First, Chapman and Rich believe that gamification can be used to upgrade students' learning experience in our class. And we can involve students at 3 different levels, namely social levels, emotional levels, and cognitive levels. So this is actually very interesting. And apart from boosting engagement, a team of researchers also claim that gamification can definitely grab students' attention and help them remember what they have learned for a longer time. Especially some key points they can learn, they can remember them for a longer time. So this is very important. Also, with the help of gamification, students are able to complete the given tasks and acquire knowledge more effectively and more efficiently. Finally, this is actually very interesting. Research also shows that gamification can help students develop 21st century skills. They can increase their independence and be more competitive. So from the literature here, we can have a very brief summary. We can say gamification can bring a lot of benefits to students. First, thanks to gamification, students will be highly motivated and they can improve their academic performance and achievements. Also, we can say students can acquire knowledge efficiently and remember important things for a longer time. And finally, I'd like to say they are able to be more sociable, independent, skillful, and competitive. So thanks to gamification, they are able to improve their language skills, and more importantly, they can develop a lot of skills. So they can rely on what they can get from gamification. So we can say they can survive and thrive in today's society. All right, so in order to apply gamification, I'd like to introduce an important gamification model to all of you. It actually consists of 5 steps, and it was proposed by Huang and Solomon. So let me explain this step one by one. So first one, step one, oops. Step one, I want to say, understand the target audience in the context. That means teachers should clearly know who his students are, and it is also necessary for them to analyze the context to understand several factors like group size, environment, and the students' current level. And by understanding these points, teachers will be likely to decide how they gonna apply gamification to their teaching and what game elements like points, levels, they are going to use in order to benefit their students. So next step is define the learning objective. I think this is always necessary for a successful teaching and learning experience. So in order to have a very successful and engaging learning experience through gamification, I think teachers need to have the ability to identify learning objective, or we can say intended learning outcomes for our students. That means he should clearly know what steps he should take and what students should get or acquire at the end of the course. And step 3 is the structure of the experience. That means teachers should identify the main points. For example, they should work on the sequence and quantify what the students need to learn and achieve at the end of his course. And if students If he finds some students are falling behind, teachers need to reflect and rethink and how to provide a push for these students to motivate them, to engage them, and how to use some game elements to arouse their interest, to help them to make some progress, and finally to help them complete that task or complete that stage. And teachers need to move their educational program or the courses from the simple part to the complex one by scaffolding, or we can say we need to start with the easier task to the difficult task so students can engage, so students will feel engaged and they will stay motivated. And the next step is identify resources. It's actually the step 4 in this model. That means teachers need to know what can and what can be gamified. They need to consider different aspects like how to track students' performance, how to record their problems, how to help them identify their problems, and how to set different rules or levels when you are doing gamification in your class. And also, after including gamification in your language classroom, you need to think about how to improve your gamification and how, if some problems really happens, you need to think how to solve that. And the last step in our model is apply gamification elements. In this step, the teachers need to they need to apply, they need to try gamification in their classroom to engage students to see if that really works for his students. And of course, this is actually very important. They need to reflect, they need to think about what really works and what needs to be improved. And based on their reflection, they can improve their gamification in order to benefit their students. So I think by following this model, teachers can have a very clear model which can help them gamify their classroom in order to benefit their students. Next, we'd like to show you several cases. This is very interesting part of our today's session. We'd like to show you several cases using PPT to gamify different elements in our language teaching. So let's welcome Yu.
All right, hello guys. Gamification can be used in many areas. Here are some possible areas where you can apply gamification elements. They're icebreaking, picking names and deciding order, speaking, reading and listening, vocabulary and review. Of course, there are other areas like grammar and writing, but today we will focus more on the areas listed here. In the following slides, we will show you some traditional activities that have been frequently used in our language classrooms. Also, we would like to introduce some new PowerPoint-assisted games. Hopefully, they could give you some new ideas. So, first of all, icebreaking. An effective icebreaker will warm up the conversation and make students comfortable enough to speak up. There are some traditional icebreakers you might have used in your class. Conversation cube is a good example. You can make a cube and put questions or keywords on each side. Then you split your class into several groups and give each group one conversation cube. One person in a group rolls the cube and answers the question. The rest of the group then carries on the conversation by asking questions and providing answers. Teachers can add a time limit onto discussion to add more excitement. Similarly, talking bingo is a classic game that most teachers like to play in class. You can give each student a pre-made bingo sheet. They need to walk around and find other students who can answer yes to the questions on the sheet. When they ask a question and get a yes, they mark on their sheet. Other examples include find someone who and two truths and one lie. I guess you might have used them in your class or have seen them in our previous lesson plans. Now I'd like to show you a PowerPoint assisted activity called scratch cards. Let me find that.
Yep, here we go.
Okay, so firstly, if you click on the Start button, you will find 8 scratch cards. The traditional way of self-introduction is to list the keywords for students and encourage them to introduce themselves in their groups. So instead of giving keywords directly, probably we can add some gamification elements, asking each group to choose one card and a scratch. If we click on the scratch off panel, okay, you will find some keywords. Okay, so like hometown, hobbies, family, major food, traveling, okay, dream, or club. So it's easy to make and fun to play. I've used this in my class. It worked quite well. Students got excited when they were asked to choose the card, and they became more active when making self-introduction. But even if it's a small change, it could make a difference. Okay, so let's go back. Okay, so all right, let's look at another area, names and order. In class, we often need to select the students to answer questions, and sometimes we need to decide the order of giving group presentations. The easiest way is to call students' name or group numbers directly. But if you want to make this more exciting, you can probably try these ideas. Lucky Draw and Will Decide are easy and interesting activities. You can find 2 websites here. They are useful. With the online Lucky Draw generator, you can put students' names or group numbers into the system. Then when you click on the draw button, the lucky name or the group number will pop up. Also, you can use this online wheel tool to help you choose the lucky guy. You modify the wheel, copy and paste the name list, then we can start to play. You will find students excitedly stare at the wheel and nervously wait for the results. In the afternoon session, when some students get drowsy, probably it's a good way to cheer them up. Now, I would like to show you how to use PowerPoint to pick names randomly. So you can copy and paste your, student's name list into a Word file. Then you open that file through PowerPoint. After making some changes to the format and animation, you can successfully create a PowerPoint name picker like this. Okay, so if you press S here, okay, it will stop. Then you can invite that student to answer the question. With this, I guess picking names will become a super easy task. Okay, it looks like this.
All right, Alex is a lucky guy.
Okay, so next. All right, Jeremy, I will show you some other areas where you can use gamification.
All right, so my turn. Okay, so for the speaking parts, I guess we have already designed a lot of activities for these parts. For example, like the board game, which looks like this. This actually can help students get ready for the speaking test. And also, we have used the 3-2-1 speaking activity in our class, and this activity can help students to speak for the same topic for 3 times, so they can get really familiar with the topic and they can improve their fluency. Today, also sometimes we can use the dice and the poker game to put students into several groups and give them some poker cards to group them and give them different tasks. All right, today I'd like to introduce a new game which is called Gold Miner. This can be used to help students to prepare for the QA session in the speaking test in year 1. So first, let me show you this. Okay, so if you click on the start, we can start the game. As we all know, different topics will be covered in the speaking test in year one. So for example, for EAP 027 last semester, topics like zoology, business, or bioethics, have been tested. So we can put questions related to the same topic into one stage. For example, here in stage one, I have put the topic zoology here, and the students can answer the questions related to this topic. We can find we've got 5 nuggets with different size on these slides, and each nugget contains a question. The rule is the bigger the nugget is, the more difficult the question will be. So let me show you something. For example, if you click on this small mini nugget, you can get a question. Do you like animals? This is very easy question. So after students click on these nuggets, they need to answer this question. Of course, you can give them some time to prepare. It's up to you. If you don't like, you can just ask them to answer this question, because to be honest, this question is not that hard for students to answer. However, if students click on the biggest nugget here, okay, so this question is a little bit challenging. Let's take a look at this. Do you agree or disagree? It's really important that humans understand how animals communicate, so we can find the differences in the level of difficulty in these two questions. So for the question which looks like this one, you can definitely give students some time so they can get prepared. They can brainstorm some great ideas for them to answer this question. So by digging different nuggets, students will get different chances to answer different questions related to this topic, zoology. So they will definitely be more familiar with this topic, so they will not be nervous when they get a question related to zoology in the real speaking test. All right, so this is the stage one. Let's move on to the stage two. All right, congratulations, you made it to the next level. So let's next go to the second round. In this stage, I have put different topics here. Actually, I put the topic business here. Again, you can find we've got 5 different diamonds with different sizes on these slides. Again, students will be encouraged uh, to capture different diamonds, to dig different diamonds, to answer different questions. Again, I want to say the bigger the diamond is, the more challenging the question will be. So let's start from the small one. So this one. Okay, so you can give students some time to prepare and answer a question. And if you click on this diamond, you can get this question to answer. And if you got this one, you can answer this question: how can a business compete with others? And I want to say here, after students finish their answer, you can invite some students to deliver their answer in class. And of course, you can give some quick feedback for them to help them identify some problems with their answer, to let them know how they can improve in the future, so they can get a lot of useful suggestions in order to get a really good score in the speaking test. So let's move on to the last stage. All right, again, congratulations. Stage 3, questions are related to bioethics. This is actually, I think, the most difficult topic covered last semester. So again, same rule here, students will be asked to open different treasure chests to practice answering different questions. Let me show you some question. If you click on this box, again, the question will pop up, and students can get a chance to answer. All right, so after they finish, you can click on the new box, and the new question will pop up again, a new question. So this is basically what we have already designed for the speaking part. This is gold miner. All right, so let's go back. All right, so next I'd like to say something about the reading and speaking part, because some reading and the listening part, sorry. Because some students in my class, sometimes they will say, reading and listening really boring. I don't like them. I hate doing reading or listening exercises in my class. So in order to arouse their interest and make these two parts more engaging, I have already done something. But before I show you this, I'd like to quickly introduce some traditional activities we've been using in our classroom. For this part, we can use some board game again to design questions to encourage students to read the article or listen to the recording carefully to answer questions. And we can also design some post-reading or listening activities. For example, we can ask students to create a story or do a role play based on what they have read or what they have listened. So, but in order to gamify these two parts and do something different, we've created a game called Adventure, Reading and Listening Adventure. So let's take a look at this PPT. All right. So give me a second. Yep, I got it. All right, so this is the reading and listening adventure. Again, we need to first click on the start button. We can find it actually consists of 3 rounds. So let's start from the first round. Okay, in round 1, my suggestion is that you can put some gist tasks to help students get an overall understanding of the reading passage. For example, you can put some titles on the card, like 4 titles on the cards, and you can ask students to skim the article quickly and choose the best title for their article. And for listening class, you can definitely put some main ideas on the cards here and ask students to listen very carefully and choose the best one. So this is the first one. And after they finish, you can show them the answer to tell them which one is the best one and why, and give some quick feedback if you like. And let's move to the second round. In round 2, we can help students practice reading or listening for some details. For example, we can ask students to scan or listen for any items you'd like to focus on. For example, you can ask them to scan for a number. Oops. All right. So, or you can ask them to scan for a location or a name or a definition. We can also, if you like, you can also ask different groups to work on different items. For example, group 1, you guys need to work on the number. Group 2, you need to focus on the location. And group 3, you need to find a definition. And after they finish, you can encourage them to share their ideas. So we can help them practice their listening or reading skills, but at the same time, when they are exchanging their ideas, they can actually improving their speaking skills as well. So last round. For the last round, we can put a lot of reading or listening comprehension questions in the boxes here. And if you open any box here, you can get a question. For example, you can put some question like MCQs, true, false, not given questions, short answer questions, or gut feeling questions in these boxes. And the students should randomly click on one box and answer that question. For example, if they click on this small box, they can get an MCQ. So you can ask them to, all right, you guys need to read the article again and find the answer to this question. And after they finish, you can show them the answer. And when I finish this question, you can go back to click on the new box. For example, this is a gap filling question. And again, you need to show them the answers after they finish. And the biggest one here, MCQ again, show them the answer. All right, so this box, okay, this is short answer question. And the answers here and the last one, all right, so true, false, not given question. You can put different types of questions here to give them some different feelings to motivate them because to be honest, a lot of students will are feeling the reading and listening parts is a little bit boring. So I think doing this, this PPT can actually make listening and reading more interesting, and more importantly, they can they can give students a purpose when reading and listening. So I think they are more likely to stay focused and stay motivated. All right, so let's go back. So let's welcome you to say something about the vocabulary.
Okay. So for basic language skills like vocabulary, we can also use some fun games. Taboo is an engaging game that encourages students to describe the word on the card to their classmates without using the taboo words. It's a good way to build up students' vocabulary and help them review the definitions, synonyms, and the antonyms of the given words. We've mentioned bingo as an icebreaker. It can also be used in teaching vocabulary, such as the use of synonyms and antonyms. For example, the bingo sheet can be filled with adjectives, and the words you read out will be synonyms and antonyms of each of these words. As you read out the words, students mark up their antonyms on their cards. The first student to mark up all the words shouts bingo and wins a prize. This game is relatively quick to prepare and can be modified to suit your students' language level. Another fun activity is tic-tac-toe. Okay, to prepare for the game, you can scan through our textbooks and collect some words to use. Of course, you can use other random words or vocabulary that you would like to reinforce or practice with your students. There are a lot of variations of tic-tac-toe that you can use. In one version of the game, you can draw the basic tic-tac-toe grid on the board. Then you put different letters in each of the 9 squares. The aim of this game is for the students to select a square and name 3 words that begin with a letter. For example, if they pick the middle square and it has the letter, let's say C, then they would have to say 3 words that begin with the letter C based on the theme. So if the theme is based around food, probably they could shout out corn, chips, Coke. You could also make the game more challenging by changing the theme to something like personality or describing people. If a team can think of all 3 words under a set time limit, they can mark X or O in the spot. Then the other team selects a square that has a different letter and tries to perform the same task. Other good activities involve Uno and a crossword. You can find some free online crossword generators. Now I will show you a new vocabulary game called Piggy Bank. Okay, we can use this to help students practice vocabulary. So to prepare for the game, teachers can select some words from textbooks, especially those difficult to pronounce and memorize. Then you can divide your class into 2 teams, and they will take turns to finish the task. At the first level of the game, we can focus on pronunciation. Actually, I've chosen some words that students mispronounced before. They need to pronounce the word. If they pronounce it correctly, they will get 1 point. If their pronunciation is incorrect, the other team will then have a try. So it looks like this. Okay. So these are some of the words that are probably difficult to pronounce for our students. Okay, so at the second level, students will be asked to explain the meaning of each word. They're encouraged to give a definition and correct synonyms. So it looks like this. So when students see these words, they need to explain what they mean. And if they can give us some synonyms or even antonyms. Okay, and at the third level, word class will be our focus. They need to say the word class of the given word. So by adding these gamification elements, I guess learning vocabulary can be more interesting. Okay, then finally, teachers will calculate the total points and announce the winner. The PowerPoint is easy to make compared with some traditional vocabulary practice like matching the words with the correct definition or using the correct form to complete the sentences. Piggyback adds some gamification elements and can effectively engage our students. Next, Jeremy will talk about how to use games in review.
All right, so the last part here. All right, so for about how to help students review what they have learned, we have traditional activities like online quiz or Kahoot. You guys have already mentioned this outstanding, wonderful game and scavenger hunts. And we've been doing this on EAPO 20 and also Jeopardy! And we can also ask students to design a poster to say what they have learned and take a gallery walk, something like that. But today I'd like to show you a new PPT which can help students to review what they've learned. And for teachers, we can check their understanding of some important tasks. For especially after students have read a task sheet for their assessed writing coursework, for example, we can use this PPT to check if they have fully understood what they are supposed to do. So let me show you this. Okay, so let's get started. All right, so you need to put your students into two groups. And in my class, I often put boys on the team and the girls on the other team. Then you need to ask them to open different boxes. And again, each box contains a question and is worth 1 or 2 points. If they can answer the questions correctly, they can get points. And finally, you need to calculate, and the group with more points will win. All right, so let me show you some boxes. For example, if you click on this box, you can get a question. Because this assignment is not marked plagiarism, will not be penalized. Definitely false. So if students can answer this correctly, you need to go back and click on this adorable icon here, double click, so they will get 2 points. And if they need to answer this question from this box, okay, so if they answered it correctly, you need to go back and click on the icon again, so they can get 1 point. So you need to do the same thing. So I did this. I did this in my class before, and the students were really excited and they enjoyed this review activity. So let's go back. Because of the limited time, we can't demonstrate everything here, but after today's session, you can definitely think about how to use PPT to gamify some areas like grammar or writing parts. Okay, finally, we'd like to show you some feedback we got from our students. I want to say I got very positive feedback from my students. For example, one of my students said, all right, this is amazing because it helps me be more interested in EAP learning. Also, some students said playing games in class enables me to concentrate better. And some students said, this is my first time. I know, wow, PPT can be used in class in this way. It's really interesting.
From my experience, most students show great interest in playing games to learn English. Jeremy has mentioned some positive feedback from students. However, we've also noticed that some students may get anxious and nervous when competing with their classmates. One of my students said, even though I still feel nervous when competing with other teams, playing games to learn English is exciting. Gamification can always ensure positive results. The competition from playing games may also negatively influence students' fluency or accuracy level when speaking English. So we need to consider how to achieve a balance.
Okay, so in conclusion, gamification can be a very, very important part of language teaching and learning, and it can help students improve in a wide variety of areas. We very much hope that today's PD session can be a catalyst for change in your teaching and a tool which can help you start to thinking about how to gamify your teaching. If you have any questions, please drop us an email. And that's the end of our session. I want to say a big we are
happy to share with us our templates. If you you can email either Jeremy or myself. Jeremy's email address.
I will put my email address here.
Yeah, I mean some PowerPoints may be too big to be sent via email. You can go to Jeremy's office. Okay.
Yeah.
And we are happy to share with you. Yeah, sure. Yeah, we will ask Dara and we will share all our PowerPoint templates.
You are very welcome.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Have a nice day. See you guys.